Hey, how's it going? So, right now, I need to unburden myself of some of my 2020 election issues. I thought that I was doing okay and not being angry about things, but I had a couple of things happen that kind of uncorked, everything that I was doing to kind of assuage my irritation. And one of them was I watched a video by someone I respect very much that's a tarot reader and also a doctor in sociology. And she just said something that put a burr under my saddle, and a couple of other things happened that kind of made me kind of, just lose it a little bit. So, how it is going for me is the irritation is coming out, and I need to vent it out of me. So, here it comes. First of all, this person said, her name is Lena Rodriguez from Tarot Down Under. Tarot card reading. Dr. Lena Rodriguez from Down Under. So see, I'm so irritated I can't even get the words out right. Let me take a deep breath or two and calm down. So what she said was, why in the world isn't America out in the streets protesting? We just had the past 3 years of this unqualified guy in the White House that on his own I don't think could manage to knock over, a three-legged stool. I really believe that he's getting fed instructions and money because that's what he loves, and attention, and that's what he's getting with the Twitter and the being president, which he shouldn't be there. It wasn't legitimate. He was installed, and it wasn't by the voting process, and that's a mess too. That's been irritating for many years because we have this antiquated system that does not apply to how it is now because we don't have the institution of slavery anymore, and the states have really filled out. So the electoral college is unnecessary. It's ridiculous, and the way we do it is too complicated, and it's too easily screwed with by unscrutable means, of which there are many, and usually they come with someone backed by a whole bunch of money, like the president we got now, and a lot of manipulation. And there's been a lot of that going on in my lifetime. In December, I turned 56, so it's been a while, right? And I have been very irritated by the fact that I was born in the midst of the civil rights era, and that's never been able to operate properly, and it didn't really do what it was intended because people of color, particularly black people, but in general, people of color, Latinos, Native Americans, they have been getting trod upon first and foremost by everybody since forever. That bothers me. Why have we not evolved beyond the crap that we still are doing? I feel like we just have accepted the programming through media, through education, that's controlled by rich people that don't have to be educated by the process of just about everyone else because they can buy a decent education. And somehow all the school books in America come out of Texas, which it's a southern state. The whole rest of the country doesn't really necessarily go that way. Not everyone in Texas is bad or wrong thinking, but A lot of them are. And what we have now is a country that's accepting capitalism being the greatest system in the world, where people are homeless, and rather than getting the people housed, the overall system is to give these people no sympathy or empathy and blame them for being poor and being homeless and forced to live on the street or wherever they are, in the car, or, you know, it's like, why are we all going along with that? Because at any moment, the majority of us could become another member of the homeless. What is wrong with our heads? I don't get it. Like, we have been accepting crap, like, from the Reagan era, for instance. Like, oh, you know, when the corporations are doing good and Wall Street's high numbers and everything's going to be so great and it'll trickle down. Has it? Has it really? No. In fact, the upward mobility has just been declining in general. And when you consider the fact that you could be one paycheck, Social Security check like myself, away from being on the street, you know, in the elements. It's, you know, I live in the Northwest. It snows here. It gets very cold. It's not LA. It's not Hawaii. It's not Florida. It ain't comfortable to be living outside. It is insane that the greatest country in the world with the greatest capitalism system is allowing this to happen. And so many of us are not benefiting from this bounty of funds that is going to so few that are sitting on the necks of the rest of us. And we are like still saying it's good, it's great, it's the best way to go. We're insane. So there's the foundation for what I've had bottled for many years, and it's spewing. So right now, we're in the midst of this election season. I am irritated by the fact that, you know, almost all of the television networks that a lot of people get their news from have become basically right-leaning. Centrist and moderates are right-leaning in the fashion of Fox News, and it's been happening right in front of our faces. And thank God, more and more people that are watching networks like MSNBC, which totally skew the polls, totally, you know, they want unity in the Democratic Party, but the guy who happens to be winning above everybody else right now, in reality, and not the polls presented on MSNBC or The Views, and also CNN for the most part. Not everyone at MSNBC is that way. And I'll say Chris Hayes is not like that. I don't think Rachel Maddow is either. And I think there may be a couple of people that perhaps don't have shows who are not going along those lines and still have some personal integrity, I guess. But it seems like most of them either believe what they're saying or they're told to, and they're just doing it because they need their paycheck, which to each their own, I guess. But we don't have to sit there and watch it. So it's very annoying to me that Joe Biden, who traditionally has had very good numbers from voters, very high acceptance rates, you know, especially among voting blocks like the people of color blocks that are necessary to any winning election. And if you like him, great. I'm sure he's a nice guy, but he really, his policies on his own, you know, he has been a proponent of cutting Medicare and Medicaid, which we just barely have Obamacare. As soon as they were able to get what they were able to get up and running of that plan, they've been, like playing Jenga with it the whole time. Same with the civil rights movement. Like, that has never been taken seriously, and, black people are treated much better than, say, they were in the era where John Lewis and Elijah Cummings were getting the crap beaten out of them, trying to go into the South and equalize things among people, because that is ultimately, I think, what everyone would like, except for the rich people. I'll get to that. But Joe Biden, he shouldn't be trying to please the other party that's supposed to be the alternative to the Democrats, and more conservative and more right-leaning and less charitable to people of color and to poor people, and you name it. I mean, I don't know why conservatism has to be so heartless and mean, but it's, I heard it said on some news today that right now we're in like the worst time we've ever had. I beg to differ. George Wallace, remember that guy? Well, maybe you don't remember him. I don't remember him because that happened before I was born, but he was terrible, Excuse me. And if you want to be friendly with those guys and you're a politician, great. But you have people who are voting for your party, who you want to vote for you, where you want to raise the age of Medicare and cut that, or, make it harder for people who need to have medical care to have it, and to favor the insurance companies over your constituents, where corporations are people now, I guess, and they get more consideration than living, breathing, and bleeding actual people. There is something wrong with that, and I have a problem with people just, well, he's Joe Biden. We love him. He's the backslapper, big smiling guy, and he's super friendly. Sorry, that's a facade, in my opinion, and it is galling to me that because of that, we're going to accept all these things that are preventing us from thriving financially, with our health, and at being educated properly. Like, he is more in line with conservative policies. And so it is very irritating to me that he's put up by the DNC before anything even happened as the front runner, as the guy that they want. I don't. I mean, he may be Mr. Right for some people, but he ain't Mr. Right now, in my opinion. And Obama, he helped Obama get elected, but that was about him being the vice president, gave people who couldn't just go with Obama that extra push that he needed to get over the hump of unacceptance in the, after, oh my God, they so flamed the guy. I don't care about all of the conspiracy theories, if it's true or not, that Trump supporters, QAnon, all of that stuff. I don't care if it's true, because the guy turned out to be, he could have been better, in my opinion. He chose not to put himself out there as far as he could on behalf of us, which I also have a problem with. But he was better than Joe Biden, in my opinion. But Joe Biden helped him get in. That did not, for me, improve Joe Biden's qualities, And you hear him talking now, and you can be old, but you don't have to have antiquated opinions and not evolve as change happens. Like you're aging, so you're changing. Younger people are coming along. They're going to have to live in the world that you will probably not be in for much longer. You need to give them more consideration. And everyone that sort of is in the same lane as Mr. Biden, you need to stop clinging to ideas that are that are holding the country back as a whole. Chris Matthews, the gentleman who is on MSNBC and has a show, who I found amusing for a long time, but lately I am not amused at all. And I actually feel bad for the guy because he is freaking out about Bernie Sanders. And Bernie Sanders has always said he was a democratic socialist. That was his beliefs. People seem to like Chris Matthews, for instance, or anyone else, just about, even his own colleagues in the Democratic Party, would rather shade or color Bernie Sanders as a democratic socialist as a Fidel Castro Cuba communist. That's not really socialism that he's talking about. Or, Soviet era communist Russia, or Mao Zedong communist era China. I don't think any of those are even what's happening in those countries now. Just about every other country in the world has a socialist system for their citizens where, good God, they can have medicine if they need it. And by the way, you can say positive things about Cuba and not have the whole Cuban or communist regime of Castro and everything that went on when Fidel was young, when Chris Matthews was young, when Joe Scarborough was young. Every country that has socialism does it differently. We do not have that same background as those red, pinko, commie, socialist countries had. Those countries don't even have that now. They have evolved more than we have. So it is galling that Chris Matthews is freaking out and making all these accusations about how we're going to be under Bernie Sanders, this communist socialist monster from his youth. This is a different country. It would be different here. Which brings me to the other thing that is driving me kind of nutsy cuckoo about Bernie Sanders' policies that he wants to implement. Well, how are we going to pay for it? How are we paying for anything now? We're not. We're giving tax cuts to the rich. They don't pay taxes. Everybody else is poor and broke, can't go to school, have to live, with their parents until they have grandchildren themselves in the same house, because that's how great capitalism is for just about everybody else in this country and also in the rest of the world. If you are not wealthy, you're kind of hurting, because unless you're in a place like Denmark, as Chris Matthews says, where they have democratic socialism and also a capitalism system so that they can operate with the rest of the world, because that's what we've infected everybody with. People there are not prisoners. People there are not treated like they were in the 40s and the 50s, where apparently Chris Matthews seems stuck. Like, he cannot get it through his head that it would not be that way here. Okay? The base does not exist. The foundation does not exist for that type of system to grow, unless we have another 4 years of Trump, who will try to have, what Xi in China has decided he should be, premier or minister, or whatever he is, president of China forever, for life. Nope, we don't have that. And while we still have the ability to vote, because we're not going to make big changes, and we're going to be stuck with this system for a while until everybody gets it, that our system really ain't that great for everybody. Our system has allowed for a Giuliani to openly have as the system stop and frisk, and then to have a Bloomberg come in, and there's enough people talking about what he did and said when he was mayor for too many terms, where he allowed that to fester all over people. And the little token lame ass apology he gave right before he decided to run for president, because he suddenly realized, oh, people really don't like this. Like, I can't just treat these people that I have these ideas about like they don't know how to conduct themselves in a work setting. You know, you have some crazy ideas that are just wrong, and you know, you spread a little money around, you say, I'm sorry, and it's just going to be over. That is not how apologies work, and that ain't going to work with what you did. And by the way, when you made your little apology before you announced your run, or simultaneously that you did that, you spoke to a graduating class of naval cadets at whatever the naval school is. I believe it was the next day, and reverted right back to stop and frisk is great and we should implement it everywhere. And you have all these other really ugly ideas about people of color and women. We don't need to be trading a Trump billionaire, because I don't think he really is, for a Bloomberg billionaire who's somewhat more competent as a thinking individual, but has just as ugly thinking and policies that he would like to implement upon the people in this country as a president. No, 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 no. Don't want it. I don't. A lot of other people don't. And the idea that we should get anybody but Trump is not a great idea. Like, we should be thinking a little bit more about this. The reason why I like Bernie is because I actually wanted to vote for Bernie in 2016, except because I wanted to not have Trump. I voted for Hillary Clinton, who I also didn't want, but I figured she'd be better than Trump. I don't know. I don't have to know, thankfully. But there's all of that, what I just said. And so, how are we going to pay for implementing Bernie's policies? Well, I'll tell you. The way that we're doing things now, currently in this country, the way we're running everything, the way that Trump has changed things to, the way that the Republicans don't do crap, you know, bills come across their desk that people of America want, you know. Mitch, move out the way, won't even bring the bills to the floor to be debated. And that's Republicans just like unplugging from who cares what the rest of the country wants? Like, I'm getting mine and screw them, which totally is what's happening. I don't know what it is that those people are feeding on to exclude the country for the most part, and especially if you're a Democrat or not a Republican. That is wrong. That is not how they're supposed to be doing things. I guess oaths are out the window. I never expected Trump to follow. Trump is behaving exactly as I expected him to. I'm not surprised at all by anything he's doing or any way he's acting. Just what I expected. But the rest of these guys, I don't know what they're getting for it, but something is causing them to just have no moral scruples. I mean, they just don't give a damn. They just don't care. And there's a reason for that. They're being given something. I don't know what it is. The other people in the government they work with, they may or may not know what it is. And I'm sorry, if you love the Democrats that we have now, I'm not so sure I feel the same way. I mean, I don't even consider myself a Democrat. Haven't for years. If anything, I'm an independent. Not attached to anybody. I'm unaccredited or unattached to any party. not going to do it because I don't like either of them. Okay, so even before Trump came along, we've had a lot of the problems that I'm talking about right now that have built up to the degree that they are today, and it's bad. And when the Republicans were sort of cooperating, how did all of this happen? They're not stopping the damage that is happening to the people. Like, well, why not? Why are they not living up to their oath? Why is the country, a lot of it, in such crap if the Democrats are so good? We really have to think about what is happening and what will continue to happen if we don't stop ignoring what's going on. And yes, you're busy. Yes, you have kids. You don't have time. You don't want to think about it. Think about it before we're all homeless, before we're in debtor's prison, or just plain old prison and doing the work of the wealthy and suffering for it and not getting proper education, proper medical, because I just see how it could go really bad, and we're kind of letting them not do anything. So how do we pay for Bernie's policies? We change the way we're doing things. We don't have to go Cuba or Russia or China to be democratic socialists. We are not those countries. We are not those people. It would be done differently here. It just would. Okay? We may not have much, a lot of us, but we do have our opinions. We do have our own minds. And so, if we could get Bernie in there and get people behind what he would like to do, which Medicare for all, that's not a bad thing. Like, so what if you lose your insurance? You're so afraid that you're going to lose it now, you're going to be in a bad place. Like people that have no insurance or very little insurance. And Jocko we got now in the White House wants to take away all of that no matter what he says. I've been saying it's opposite day world with this guy because he's a liar. Whatever he says is usually the opposite of what the truth is, what he actually means, or what he's actually doing. I think that's been pretty evident, whether you like him or not. If you like him and you can sit there and say, he's not lying, he's telling the truth, he's great, you're high. Sorry, you're high. He's been a liar. He's not, like I said, he's no different. He's true to form. Only now he has ridiculous power. The guy wants to undo court cases because they're his friends. What the hell is that? We don't live in a kangaroo court country. What the hell, people? Snap out of it. We need to get him out of there. We need to wake up, and if you lose your insurance and there's Medicare for all, then you'll have insurance. And I'm not worried about if the insurance companies don't get to charge us for medical insurance. It's not like it's their only income stream unless it's Aflac. And even if all those insurance people lose their jobs, if we have Medicare for all, then more people will be in the medical system. We'll need more hospitals, more medical people to tend to the people that need treatment. There will be tons of paperwork, tons of whatever insurance people do. They can make a transition. It shouldn't be that difficult. You'll still be in the same field. You just won't be in medical insurance, which is a rip, which, okay. Okay, do you understand? We're being silly. We're being blind. And why are we listening to people that are afraid of... It's like people are having a flashback from when they were kids, when there was the Cold War and there was East Germany and Soviet takeovers of countries in Europe. And like, hello, that's not where we're at. We're not Europe. But I think that we have a lot of push from other countries like specifically Russia and China. If you don't think Russia's doing anything, okay, fine. You can believe that. But let's think about China. If you can remember when Obama was president, our national deficit or budget was not doing that great then, because every time Republicans are in, they spend, deficits don't matter, and tax cuts for the rich, and what trickles down to everybody else has been graduating misery. So when Obama was president, he borrowed, am I from Canada now? I don't know where that came from. He borrowed a shit ton of money to balance our budget here. If you don't, I'm not crazy, you can look it up. I'm pretty sure that won't have been scrubbed from the internet. You should be able to find that out. So we got stuff going on with China too. And by the way, everything is Russia. There's probably a lot of Russia going on that's affecting this country, other than them messing with our, electrical grid or messing with our elections. China, you think China's not doing that stuff too? Yes, they so are. So you can call him Moscow Mitch that won't do crap, or you can call him Mandarin Mitch. I don't care. I call him sitting on his butt and twiddling his thumbs and, doing whatever they're doing in the houses of legislation, because they're not doing that. They're not doing the business of the people. And they're just allowing the current president to do all kinds of stuff where he's just circumventing the legislative portion of his duties completely. He's just doing stuff. I mean, it's beyond executive orders that he bitched and complained about when Obama was president. Of course, he's a hypocrite. I don't think I need to go repeating how I feel about him and what he's doing and how he is. But, yeah, we need to get those people out of there. They're not doing anything. They're not helping anybody but themselves. I don't know what they're doing. And the president just gets to do all kinds of stuff now. And I thought he hated Bush people. Just complain and complain and complain. And, oh my God, the Q people and him, they made such demons out of the Bushes, which I don't like them. I didn't like what they did. I'm not a Bush fan. I'm not a Republican fan of I'm not a fan of Republican anything. But then who do they get in there? They get the guy who was George H.W. Bush's Attorney General. I believe that's what he was. William Barr, whatever. That guy thinks the president should have all kinds of power. And I don't understand why does he want the president to have power? That doesn't make sense. You want someone else to have power, and when you could have the power? Like, you're weird, dude. But that guy was basically, money in the waters during Iran-Contra. Iran, let me pronounce it correctly. He was like the guy doing what he's doing now for Trump in that administration. So, did we like that? Was that good? No, those guys got in trouble. Of course, they all got out of trouble. I don't know how Oliver North ended up with a TV show for years and all kinds of people. But, Roger Stone got finally 3 years for whatever he did for Trump, like basically lying for the president. I'm sure he's done so many other things since the Nixon administration when I was a child in the freaking 70s. Why are we letting this happen to ourselves? Why are we being so passive? We are getting mowed down, and we can't blame them completely. We have to take some responsibility. We have to pay attention. Yeah, it's inconvenient. It's unpleasant. Life is going to be more than having to pay attention to who you want to vote for and vote out. Okay, I think I've gotten it out of my system. I don't know that I'm going to be able to calm down. Now I'm even more upset. Anyway, my food is getting ready here, so I am going to go. Thank you and good night. Please give this stuff some thought. what Bernie wants to do can be done. He doesn't want to take stuff away from people. He wants to give everybody what we need: proper education, medical care, infrastructure, housing. And I actually think, as a PS here, I like Elizabeth Warren, okay? Or I liked her when she was in the Obama administration. I liked her when she did the Consumer Protection Agency. I like her, you know, tearing Bloomberg a new one. That's what I would like to see her do. I never thought that she should run for president, because I always felt like she would have to contort herself into ways that are not natural to her. That's just my opinion. She's a capable woman. She's an intelligent woman. I actually think that she and Bernie should be a team. I think that I actually want Bernie to be the president, but I think if they can dispense with their verbal fisticuffs to, oh my God, shut up, to get ahead of each other, they should pair up. They could sort of keep a watch on the other one, you know. And I think that it would satisfy the Bernie people, and I think that it would satisfy the other Democrats. Okay, that's it. Thank you and good night.